This is the talk of Music City Real Estate.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN, the talk of Music City Real Estate.
Where we educate and motivate all things real estate.
Monte Mohr here with Realty One Group Music City.
Hey, Carey Ann with CMG Financial and my mortgage team.
Great to see you, Carey Ann.
So good to see you. It's
Happy Sunday
evening. Yes.
Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday. It is a good day.
We're almost halfway through July now, aren't we?
I cannot believe it. Halfway through the year, actually.
It's amazing how fast time goes.
It is going, and it is summer, and I'm ready for this season to be over.
Boy, another shout out for our friend Hal Elrod, who was here a few weeks ago with Miracle Morning. If you haven't picked up your Miracle Morning copy, reach out to me if you're a realtor, and I'll gladly give you a copy of Miracle Morning for Realtors.
Yes.
Is that a great book or what, Karen?
Oh, amazing. And his talk the other day was one that was very motivating and inspiring for sure. His story is one that gives you goosebumps.
Incredible. Something about somebody dying and coming back to life just does something for me, I guess. I think we have to overcome a lot, but that's a lot more.
Yeah, and then to have the second chance and then to be given cancer again, to go through that fight. So, yeah. Wow.
Incredible.
And with I will tell you, we've had a lot of speakers come to town, and he is one that is just so fun. He has just an amazing outlook on life. You just want to smile when you're around him.
I was telling our team the other day that it was so incredible because his father and the doctors thought something was wrong with him because he had such a good attitude the day he woke up.
Right.
They're thinking, what's wrong with this guy? He goes, well, Dad, you told me about this 5-minute rule where you feel it for 5 minutes, whatever it is, and then you get on with life. And he goes, I can't control where things are at right now, so I'm not going to try to. But I'm going to feel the feeling and move on in life, and I'm going to be the happiest. I'm going to be the most blessed individual. If I can't walk, like they're saying, I'm going to be the happiest guy in a wheelchair that you've ever seen.
Wow. Amazing.
Isn't that incredible?
It is. And, I learned a lot, that 5-minute rule. We all have things that come at us left and right, and I am one. He used traffic as an example, and we're in Nashville with the traffic is slowly increasing, and hopefully with us not being allowed to be on our phones now, we'll fix a little bit of that, because I do think that slowed the flow of traffic down a little bit. But, there's nothing we could do about it. So you can be upset, you can be frustrated,
it's out of our control.
But he says you only are allowed to have 5 minutes to do that, So eventually, hopefully, that'll drop down to 3 minutes or 2 minutes, and then you're over maybe in 30 seconds.
And that's part of the exercise.
Yeah, huge.
As you find yourself, I've got another 3 minutes to think about this, but I'm good. Let's move on.
I actually used it this past week. Because, in our business, a lot of things come at us, right? We're dealing with third parties. There's just nothing we can do.
You've got to feel like a toad in a hailstorm sometimes. This stuff coming at you.
It is coming at us left and right. And we try to think 2 steps ahead for sure on, we're waiting for, let's just say a deal's falling apart and we're picking it up and we're waiting for an appraisal to be transferred. And we would think that the other lender would transfer it over. And clearly that doesn't happen. So now we try to think 2 steps ahead and order another one and try to, be prepared for everything that could maybe go wrong.
You have so many times where you're thinking ahead. It's amazing how far out you must stay on these transactions. I don't know how you do it.
Well, yeah, it is. It's unique. I put, I got these really large chess pieces, the yard chess game, those pieces out, and I put them in my training room just to remind us that you always have to be thinking on the next move that you're going to be making, just as a quick reminder, because that is the business that we're in. If you're going to try to meet a specific closing date, you have to back into it, and you always have to be thinking ahead of the game, for sure.
What happens in this situation?
Yeah, because, I had a transaction just recently, and he's a veteran, and he was a great guy, and I sent him a very detailed email, and again, I'm realizing that some people read them, some people don't. And it was step 1, step 2, step 3, and it went on. And I got step 1 done, and it was send me a pay stub. And he thought that's all that was needed, to get the transaction. And then all of a sudden gone, could not find him. And I already told the listing agent that we're going to be good to go because there was an assumption that hey, you just have to send me the documents here, And so I got a little nervous there for the first 4 days, but he started to pick up the speed at the end. So
you felt that feeling more than just the 5 minutes, I guess, right?
Yeah, exactly. At least I was smiling on it, on the sense that there really is nothing that we can't do.
Yeah, in those situations.
Yeah, absolutely.
And remind people, look, there's the reason for the directions. You want to follow them.
Well, and when that's true. I mean, there's rules that we have to follow and directions we have to follow when we want to purchase real estate. But if you're getting the financing to handle that, and we're not talking $5,000, right? I mean, we're talking a large sum of money to be able to get that squared away. We want it to be funded on time.
Right.
And we're dealing with lately a lot of domino effects. So it's not just one buyer purchasing. I mean, that seller's purchasing that has another person down the line, right? So it can affect a lot of people. So making sure everything is done on time is key for sure.
I'll never forget, years ago, I bought a house across the street from me because I lived in Florida at the time, and there was waterfront across the street. So the guy across the street sold me his house. I sold him a condo. I helped that condo owner buy a property, and I sold my house, and I sold the house before that one.
Oh.
And the week before closing, there was a bad accident on the first domino.
Oh,
boy, talk about some tense times and some people. Anyway, it was exciting. So when you're in that domino thing, speaking of which, Carey Ann just mentioned, keep in mind a lot of variables can happen in that scenario.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's nothing to be surprised about because I'm not surprised anymore in lending at all. We've all had a story, things come up, and it's quite unique for sure. Hey, so just to remind everybody, this show is also a podcast, so you can listen to them at your leisure. We're on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Music, and others, or you can watch us on our YouTube or our favorite Facebook podcast as well. Simply search the Talk of Music City.
And speaking of this show, like we are right now, so I want to make sure everybody knows that this show depends on your questions. It revolves around those questions, and we've got some great ones tonight that we're going to go over, but I want to remind everybody, if they have questions about real estate or financing of a home, just go to questions@talkmusiccity.com. Send your questions to questions@talkmusiccity.com or #TalkMusicCity.
Yes, and I'm really excited about today's show.
So you want to be a real estate or a mortgage professional?
Yes.
Well, there's a bunch of them out there, Carey Ann.
Well, I'm just a big believer in if you want to be in this profession, you should learn to do it the right way.
That's right. So we're going to talk about the right way, right?
Yeah, and exactly what you can do to really get excited to be able to help more families in both the mortgage and the real estate arena.
It is the most rewarding. Of course, I've been doing this for 35 years. The money can be good, but way more important is the thrill of helping somebody make that decision of selling a home or buying a home, and helping them through that process, being their advocate, their trusted advocate, helping them see beyond like you're talking about, the staying several steps ahead. We try to do that in our business as well, and helping them. It's like I look at ourselves as our company, as the professionals of our company, as guides over a mountain range. You wouldn't start climbing a risky mountain all by yourself, and a good real estate professional can help you stay out of those potholes that can happen along the way.
Absolutely. I was talking to an agent just recently, and one of her questions was, is everything mobile? Is there a human piece to this anymore?
Yeah.
And that's really what I love about what I get to do. I always say I'm over a certain age, so I'm still old school. I like the paper. I like being able to talk to people and educate them through. And that's a big part of what I think really good loan professionals is where they educate and they really explain the why behind each move that each individual makes throughout the process. So.
Well, we have a question tonight from Kimberly in Nashville. She wants to talk about, so this is her question.
Okay.
I've always loved real estate and the mortgage business, and I'm considering getting my license in one of these venues. What do you believe are some of the basic skills I need to have to be successful in either business? And there is a lot of similarities between the two, obviously. One depends on the other. I guess we depend on you more than it's both ways.
No, it's both ways for sure.
Both ways for sure. And so we've got some great questions or some parts to this question that we're going to go over tonight, and I'm looking forward to that because there's my last I heard there was 10,000 real estate professionals here in Middle Tennessee.
Wow,
10,000. Any idea how many mortgage professionals?
I don't, but there's quite a few. There's quite a few.
So right off the bat, I sat down with a brand new a couple actually last week that are just getting their license. Very, very professional. I know they have a great potential in this business. And this is part of the message that I share with each real estate professional that I sit down with that's brand new in the industry, is however hard you think this is going to be,
Yeah.
imagine this for a second. I want you to close your eyes. However hard you think this is going to be as an occupation, put a 10 in front of that. That's going to be at least 10 times harder. Mm-hmm. So I'm not trying to scare anybody or keep anybody from getting in the business. It's just that it's, the challenge, I think, with some folks is they've been watching the Property Brothers, or they've been watching, Flip That House, or these kind of things. And the impression that some of these shows give is that, well, I just have to show 3 homes, and then I tell the clients to make a decision. That's all there is to it. It just, they'll make a decision, and I'll go to the closing table and then collect a big commission.
Right.
And that's all there is to it. That's not how it works.
It's not that way?
It's not that way, actually. You might show 103 homes.
Sure.
And then, the folks decide not to buy a house, or something like that. I've experienced about every one of those. I've had the privilege of helping over 3,000 families with their real estate needs. So I've seen just about every situation that you can imagine. So I love this question, so we can really delve into it and maybe pull the curtain back a little bit and give a real peek behind it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this industry, I guess, for both sides is really acing the mental game.
Yes.
I think if you can do that, I think you can make it through the long haul.
You've got it in a nutshell right there. Acing the mental game, winning the battle between your ears.
Yep, absolutely. There's a lot. There's some good days, and then there's some bad days, and there's some ups and there's downs, and there's deadlines, and you feel like sometimes you're running on a treadmill just to get to 30 days, and now we're on the next 30 days. So there's a lot to go over, but it is such a rewarding profession. I wouldn't do anything except sing at the Opry, but that's not happening. So we'll stick with what we're doing here. But we got a lot to talk about here about how you can get into the real estate or the mortgage industry. We're going to take a short break, but when we come back, we'll continue our conversation. You've been listening to The Talk of Music City Real Estate.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN, The Talk of Music City Real Estate,
where we educate and motivate all things real estate.
Monte Mohr here, Realty One Group, Music City.
Hey, and Carey Ann with CMG Financial and my mortgage team.
We're back, Carey Ann. Great topic tonight, talking about, so you want to get into the real estate or mortgage business.
Yes.
There's a bunch of folks out there thinking about it. There's a bunch of folks have gotten in the last year or two.
Some people think that they want to get in the business because they can make up their own schedule or they have more freedom. I always laugh at that one.
I do too.
As I'm driving it on 2 wheels at 7:45 to get in before my child goes to bed at 8,
Yeah, I'm not sure which is worse. I think that your business, sometimes you can shut down on weekends. That's when we speed up.
Sure. Yeah. But it definitely, I think the race is just, are you running the day or is the day running you? Type of thing.
I gave up on that. Tail's wagging the dog, I'm afraid.
Yeah, but I will say, I don't have to ask somebody, I guess, if I'm going to go get my hair done or go to my daughter's recital. I have that freedom a little bit more now that I'm, my own boss per se. In my office, I always reference, you are the CEO of your own business. So even though you're W-2'd as a loan officer, I believe you're the CEO of your business.
Right.
So how do you want to manage that? If you want to be, help 3 families a month, if that's the minimum standards for the industry that you're in or the company that you work for, then let's rock out 3 families here.
Right.
If you want to be $1 million producer, 2 million, that's the great thing about our industry. Mm-hmm. I think is you can turn it up or turn it down. You can be as successful as you want. And I'm a big believer, anybody who helps anybody is successful. It just depends upon, the income level that you want to make. So
it's all about being a servant in either one of our businesses, serving people and doing it in an excellent way.
Absolutely.
I think you hit a really important part of this, though, that for anybody who is considering about getting into real estate or has only been in a short time and doesn't know yet, is that you've got to win that mental battle. It's really not about the economy. It's not about interest rate. It's not about who's leading the government, whatever. It's just it's about winning the battle between your ears. And that's why I go back to Hal Elrod just for a second, the mental toughness.
Right.
To overcome what he's overcome, and that's I just am continually amazed. I was reading the book this morning for the 3rd time, Miracle Morning, And I reminded that again today, and how important that is.
You know, the other day I was, I've been doing my Miracle Morning, which includes the exercise. So I've picked up the exercise piece a little bit, where I'll move for 30 or 40 minutes, right? So that includes, for someone who's never moved before 60 days ago, that includes, walking and maybe running. So I'm very proud. I'm up to a mile now running. Woohoo!
That's incredible.
That's a big deal, right?
Is that just in your neighborhood, or
yeah,
you run to the office now, or what do you do?
But again, it's only a mile. But I listen to my business podcast in the morning, and I, try to really get my brain ready for the day and what's to come, and think really creative. But the stuff that you can really do is challenge yourself, put yourself in situations that are probably going to be more difficult, or maybe more stressful, or maybe would say I would never do that if I wasn't forced to. Like the other day it was raining. So I've committed, I've told myself that
I weenie out when the rain. I gotta say, I was impressed.
I committed to doing this every single day. And so I went and I did my 2-mile walk and run in the rain, and as I was doing it, I was like, this is crazy. But it got me prepared for things I don't want to do. And in our industry, there's going to be a lot of things that you don't want to do. I do not want to get up to get to that mandatory sales meeting, right? Or I don't want to have to stay late at 7:00 and take that application because it interrupts, the personal. Like, you start to learn that life just kind of goes with the flow. And there's going to be some times that are going to be maybe more frustrating, or
you're building those
challenging.
You're building those mental muscles.
Yeah, and that's really what I was doing it, is because I know that there's sometimes you just don't want to do it. And that's what happens, I think, with people in our industry, where they just don't want to make that one more phone call, or they just don't want to knock on that one more door, or they just don't want to call that one more real estate agent to see if they need any assistance, right? They make an excuse. And rain, to me, was an excuse. So I was not going to let that be mine.
That's usually a pretty good excuse, I thought, from rain. But I was so impressed when I saw you out there on Facebook that you had conquered the rain yesterday, or the other day, whenever it was.
Yeah, well, it was actually quite cool and refreshing, but I still thought I was crazy. I think my neighbors thought I was... Huh?
Weren't you afraid of messing up your dew?
Oh, when the dew is messed up, just sleeping after 8 hours. So, yes, that's a different topic. Okay. But let's talk about the some basic skills that you think that you might need to be successful in either business. I've got 3 that I think are really important, because I think you can learn any skill. So I think when I'm looking for really solid originators, and maybe people who've never been in the business, I understand you can learn the mortgage business. I did, right? So I think anybody can if I did. But I do think you have to have 3 really good skills. You have to have a strong work ethic.
Right.
And I am blessed that my mom forced me to have a job at a really young age. I was forced to have manual labor work. So like, we lived in New England, so we were required to move the firewood from point A to point B, like hard labor work, right? So that was a huge impression that we had growing up. So a strong work ethic, I think, helps you achieve any goal that you want. I'm a big believer in confidence. You can fake it till you make it, but you have to come across confident. You may not know the answer, but you better come across as if, sir, I don't know, or ma'am, I don't know that answer, but I'm going to find out that answer for you. But come across in a confident manner.
The listener needs to believe the messenger before the message matters.
Yes, absolutely.
And that comes from within.
Yeah, and finding a way to start being confident about you, right? Look in the mirror and be comfortable with you. A lot of people I see that get in this industry are just, I could push them over sometimes, because they're just not confident with themselves, right?
Afraid of the outcome.
Right. And so in my group, I'm always like, and my mom, because my mom always said this, put your shoulders back, Carey Ann, put your shoulders back. So I kind of use that. And even if you're somebody that is sitting at a desk, I always say, put your shoulders back when you're talking to somebody on the phone, because it kind of makes you sit up a little taller and gives you that boost of confidence, because if you believe that you can help somebody, if you believe that you can explain the mortgage program or help them, find that dream home, you can, if you're confident within.
That's right.
And last, I believe you need to have that never give up attitude. You just need to always be committed of trying. They say, failure is like salt. and salt needs to be put in every recipe to make it taste really good. That's how I look at it. So you need to have a little failure in everything that you do, and you need to continue to keep going. So
It keeps you humble, keeps you on edge, keeps you on your toes, for sure.
yeah, I mean, I'm where I am today because of all the falls that I've had. So, but I'm also where I am today because I chose to stand back up and try again and continue to try until it worked. So don't ever give up attitude is what I think.
And I love that about you. You don't take no for an answer. You know, I've had other clients in the past, one not too long ago where, you know, he made a mistake, you know, in the last year, and you still weren't willing to take no for an answer until, finally he wasn't helping, you know.
The client, yeah,
you know?
yeah.
You know, but I love that about you because so many times somebody in that position sees a yield sign and they look at it, see it as a stop sign, and they're out of the deal.
Yeah, I mean, what we do every day is not easy. Some loan officers may work for companies that just focus on refinances, which are a little easier than purchase business. I'm a big believer in training on purchase, like train on the hard stuff.
Right.
And I also am a big believer in training weekly. Like if you want to be really good at something, you have to be a master at your craft. And it doesn't matter if you're starting out or if you've been in it for 3 years or you've been in it for 15 years. We should constantly be training ourselves to be better. And that's what we do in my office every week. You know, we go over guidelines.
That's always
that's
so
important.
impressive.
Yeah, because it changes, you know, on a regular basis. So
But prosperity follows value. Doesn't follow need, doesn't follow wishing. It follows value. So if you want more money in the business you're in, and especially real estate or your business, mortgages, become more valuable.
yes.
You become super valuable.
Yes, absolutely.
And you're helping your folks do the same.
Well, we're going to take a quick pause, but when we come back, we're going to continue this conversation about how you, too, can be in the mortgage or real estate business. You've been listening to The Talk of Music City Real Estate.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN, the talk of Music City Real Estate.
Where we educate and motivate all things real estate.
Monte Mohr, Realty One Group, Music City.
Hey, Carey Ann with CMG Financial and my mortgage team.
Do want to remind everybody that this show is depending on your questions, so please send those questions of real estate or mortgage to questions@talkmusiccity.com or hashtag TalkMusicCity.
Love it. All right, so what are some basic skills that you think one needs when looking at joining the real estate or mortgage industry?
Well, Carey Ann, I obviously have to echo. I think work ethic is critical, absolutely critical. I think having a circle of influence is helpful in our business.
Yeah.
But back to the work ethic, I think that, I think one of the benefits I've had in this industry for the last 35 years is I have done some jobs that really stunk. Okay, they sucked. Okay, I mean, just to make it bluntly, I remember working in a sewer department one time.
Oh,
and you
I
come
see,
home
yeah.
smelling like I don't want to say, but it was nasty. I mean, I've had some.
I shucked oysters.
You shucked oysters.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. You know what work is looking like.
Oh, yeah.
Shucking oysters is no treat, I'm sure. When I was 5 years old, my grandmother made me pull weeds every morning, okay? Every morning I had to work for my school clothes, for starting at 5 years old. So the point is that it helps to have a work ethic. I always ask people a little bit about their history to see if they've ever really done something uncomfortable or not. That's really, really important. The second one you mentioned was, do you recall?
Confidence.
Confidence. Mm-hmm. Okay, there cannot be too much stated about the need for self-confidence. Mm-hmm. I would direct people to the classic book Think and Grow Rich. The number one influencer of wealthy people as far as their reading is Think and Grow Rich. Yeah. In the faith chapter, there's a self-confidence formula in that. Okay. Years ago, when I was about to lose everything, I got reacquainted to the Think and Grow Rich, and that page in the faith chapter of self-confidence, of Think and Grow Rich, was self-confidence. And it had about a 5-step process that you repeat out loud. Okay. And I'm telling you, it changed my world. And it's something I encourage my agents to do because, again, everybody has to believe the messenger before the message matters. And that comes through the heart. That comes through the confidence that you have, that you are the expert that they need to serve in that situation. Right. So, anyway, I can't say too much about self-confidence. It's so critical. And after that, I think that the attitude of being a servant, I think, is really helpful. Okay, that you're there to serve them, not have the attitude that they're there for your convenience, but that you're there to serve them and help make this experience as painless as possible, as fun as possible. It can be scary, if you don't have somebody, because the tendency is that consumer who doesn't do this very often wants to grab the steering wheel of the bus.
Right.
And I'm always trying to tell our agents, look, if you're the confident tour guide in the process, the passenger will be okay sitting back there. But it's if you don't show that confidence, if you don't show that expertise, then they're going to want to grab the steering wheel, and then it's not good after that.
Sure.
It's just like if they go to an online lender because somebody didn't say, hey, you know what, you're a lot better off if you go with a local lender who's got a proven track record. And, of course, that sounds like I'm directing traffic to you, and I obviously am, Carey Ann, because I know that the experience that they have buying that home will make a difference. It'll be better.
Sure.
I mean, that's just the reality.
Educating them is
educating them in the process.
Learning to be a true educator.
But part of that education is, look, let's go with somebody who's got local accountability,
Sure.
not somebody online because you're going to save an eighth of a point or something like that.
Right.
Whatever you save, you're going to earn.
Yeah,
right?
I love it. I love it.
So those are my three number one skills that, or at least mindsets that somebody should have before they get in this business.
So how much money do you need to get started is a question here that Kimberly is asking as well. This is a good question.
Yeah, it is. I think that from the real estate standpoint, I think 6 months of overhead is probably critical, plus then the ability to then invest in your business so that you're going to have to, there's going to be costs. There's going to be a couple $1,000s to get started, and you need to be able to invest at least $1,000 or so a month in your business, I think, in today's world, in various markets.
Sure. So real estate, you're self-employed, where you actually get a 1099 from the company you work for, right? Mm-hmm. We're in lending, we're W-2'd. So you may negotiate, a per hour. I think the law requires us to pay at least minimum wage for all loan officers, which sometimes I think is a recoverable draw. So after you do close some transactions, they take that money back in a draw form. Mm-hmm. But I do believe, too, having some money set aside for the just in case, because at the beginning, when you're trying to get your name out there and you don't have a track record, it does take a little bit of time to get people to start to know who you are and to start trusting you, right? And so it may be that you close 1 or 2 and then you don't close any, and then you close 3 or 4 and you don't close any. So having a little bit of money there just to make sure that all of your expenses are covered as you get yourself moving and grooving in the industry. And
then part of that is just so that you can continually embrace and live the idea of I'm coming from a place of contribution, not a survival. Right. Okay, I don't have commission breath because I need to make a sale.
Huge. That's so true.
That's a big deal. So having the right assets to start the journey, you wouldn't start a trip across the country with a half a gas tank, and wonder why you didn't get there. Right. You'd make sure that you were equipped to do that. So I think that's an important part.
Absolutely. And then when you do make some money, don't spend it all. I'm a big believer in save it and then reinvest it back. I always say you've got to spend $1 to make 2 in my industry. And some of the loan officers that I've worked with over the years have been so scared to spend any money to be able to reinvest A, in their own training, B, in marketing, and see just in future business opportunities. So.
I think that comes from a scarcity mindset. Again, I think that mindset is so important, and having abundant and working from a place of contribution, not a survival. I was talking with an agent this morning. A lot of folks know I'm in recruiting mode. We are hiring the right folks to come to our office, and one of the things I try to always provide for our agents is an ongoing training. I worked in another company for, I've got 35 years, 27 years with one company. And in that environment, it seemed like everybody kept their secrets to themselves. They kept their knowledge to themselves. What we try to do in our company more so than I've ever seen before is work in a collaborative environment where everybody's sharing that, because collectively we're so much stronger than we are if everybody's keeping their secrets to themselves.
I love that. Somebody told me the other day, or I heard on a podcast, a list of ingredients does not make you a chef. which I actually know that because
You've proven that, haven't you?
I have proven that multiple times, where I can have a list of ingredients, and I was like, why does this not taste good? It looks like it should taste good on the cover, right? So exactly, I was sometimes early in my years in the industry afraid to give all of the secrets away, but then you realize somebody can have a long list of secrets, and if you don't start with those core 3
That's right.
basic skills sets, they're not going to use them anyways to grow their business.
Right.
And so I'm a big believer in just sharing as much information, A, to the public, B, to your employees, and help those folks grow and be encouraged. And that kind of leads us to, should you, starting out, work on a team or should you be mentored? And I'm a huge believer in finding a strong mentor that you can look up to. The best ideas, they say, maybe are the stolen ideas or ones that you can model after, right? And so why not learn it from the professionals that have been doing it so successfully? I
totally agree. And mentoring is crucial in the business. Find somebody who's doing something better than you are and do what they do. It's really not that complicated. And get it. I think this question, as far as should you join a team or not, I think there's great value in that. I think you'll learn a lot in that process and probably enjoy the benefit of jumping on someone else's momentum, because in our industry, as you know, momentum is a really, really, really key factor.
Yeah, and take the time and be patient with your results. And I think on a team, you may have that ability to walk through each phase of the process.
Right.
If you try to jump in the deep end, which you can, and then learn to swim later, that's okay. You may drown, or you could really start with the doggy paddle and, working through all of that and really move up to, being, someone who is, winning all the races type of thing. So I'm very blessed that I had the opportunity of starting at the bottom and working under someone who is still in the industry today. She's a top professional, and working with some amazing loan officers that I just was inspired by. And I said, I can do this. I need to watch what they're doing, every move that they make. And now today, I can still look back and think of the time when they made the left move or the right move. I'm doing that now, right? And it's like a dance. Find how they are just moving and dancing so smoothly, and just start to copy them.
And part of that, again, is the momentum factor. When I moved here from Florida 20 years ago, I had around 15 years experience in the business at that time. But I still came, even with that experience, I came to work for somebody here locally because I wanted to connect my situation, my career to his momentum. I knew I would be better off living out of his garbage can, as far as leads are concerned, than trying to create my own in this big ocean.
And take a moment to and communicate that to your mentor, that you want to be you. I have one gentleman who came to me and says, and he's young, right out of the business, or right in the business, 6 months, and he's young, and he says, Carey Ann, I want to be you when I grow up. And I love that because now I know how to help him. And I have, different. I'm challenging him more. I'm pushing more at him because he already told me he wants to go there, and we meet weekly and we talk through strategy. But again, he's already telling me where he wants to go. I've got other folks that are just comfortable where they are, and we do something different, right? So if you know that you want to go to the top, you definitely just want to communicate that to your mentor and the team that you're on. So, hey, let's talk more about training, because I think that's so important. And when we come back, let's do that, okay?
Let's do that.
All right. You've been listening to The Talk of Music City Real Estate.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN, The Talk of Music City Real Estate.
Where we educate and motivate all things real estate.
Monte Mohr here with Realty One Group Music City.
Hey, and Carey Ann with CMG Financial and my mortgage team.
I wish somebody would have had this conversation with me, Carey Ann, 35 years ago. I wouldn't have had to learn the hard way every step of the way. When I got involved in the business, my broker, God bless him, he held up 2 pieces of paper. One of them was a contract that was filled out. One of them was a contract that was blank.
All right.
He said, make this one look like this one. That was my training.
Okay.
And there was not a whole lot of mentoring. There was not a whole lot of training unless I went out and found it myself. He did say, there's your pencil and there's your desk. So I had to learn the hard way. So in today's world, we're suggesting you not do that.
Yes, I think to have some training on the basics, right? And for mortgage lenders, people that are kind of starting out, Zenix training is one that I took many, many years ago. They're still in existence today. They are fabulous. So if you or someone looking into the mortgage world, you want to check out Zenix training. Anything that you know of from a real estate standpoint?
There's so much, there's so many great resources out there. I think Tom Ferry's awesome. Our office provides 240 hours of online training. There's just so much available out there if a person just, finds himself diligent in that process of pursuit. We believe in, we have live trainings every week in our office. I just think that there can't be enough said that, look, let's find somebody successful in doing something you're not good at and do what they do.
Absolutely. And I think going back to that miracle morning, taking every day to learn something new within the industry that you want to be part of.
Right.
And so I'm a big believer in if you can learn the basics, which from a lending standpoint, you need to know what ratios are and you need to know what guidelines are and why should I do an FHA loan versus a conventional versus USDA, right? So you got to have those basics.
Right.
But after you conquer those, you want to learn just the basic methods of sales and relationship sales. I do think this is a big business of relationships.
Absolutely.
People want to work with people that they like and trust,
That's right?
And so I think that's a big part of it as well. And starting to just create relationships and understand that it takes time. I have the same gentleman in my office and he's like, I'm not getting any leads. I've taken them to lunch. I've done this. I've done this. I've done this. I was like, because you haven't invested enough time. I mean, it's like dating. You have to just, if you're too much, it's too much. We're over. Take the time and understand that.
Coming from that place of contribution, not a survival.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, you get a little excited about it. So, just the daily and weekly, whether you're listening to podcasts, we didn't have that back in the day, right?
That's what I'm saying. Knowledge.
Yeah, so it's huge. There's so much information
There's so much
now
information available
that you can, and then really take the time to, whether you want to be on a team or not, just take the time to schedule just watching someone. Spend a day with them and just shadow them for a day and just take your notes.
Yeah.
Because you can learn just a lot about their emotions,
Offer to take them to lunch, buy them lunch, just to tap their...
What's lunch?
What's lunch?
Yeah.
That's this thing in the middle of the day.
Yeah. In the mortgage world, that's so you'll shadow me, what's lunch?
I hear you.
You won't be eating if you're with me.
Yeah. My food is typically...
It's moved into a shake.
Between appointments, I grab a bar that's in my console. That's what my lunch looks like.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or a banana that's been sitting there too long,
I love it. So the one question here was, how soon do I expect to begin making money? I do think, just plan for, later.
Yeah, not immediately.
Not immediately. Anything that we do. I listened to a podcast early today, and it was like she didn't make $1 on that thing that's now making her millions for 3 years. If you're really in it to win it, and this is going to be your career, just know that it may take you a little bit of time to really start making the money that you want to make. So
yeah, I'm a believer that when you make a declaration that you're going to succeed at something, it could be health, it could be wealth, it could be a business, that life will push back. The universe kind of pushes back. So are you serious about that? Do you really think you want to be healthy? Do you really want to lose that weight? Do you really, truly want to get in shape? Do you really think you're going to sell a house?
Right.
And it just happens that way. And you've got to prove your diligence and your commitment that, yes, darn it, I'm going to do that. I'm going to press on through. I'm going to accomplish those things. And then suddenly a little bit of momentum happens. So a lot of folks go celebrate. No, you don't want to celebrate all that little bit of momentum, and you don't want to count them until they're done.
Right.
Because they can go away just as quick as they got there.
Hey, and that's why I'm a big believer in helping so many families, because just in 1 week, there was 5 transactions that fell apart due to inspections or appraisals or this or that. And one customer, he's of a certain age, he just decided this is too stressful. I've decided I'm just going to rent for the rest of my years. And that was the end of it. And so what are you to do there, right? So there's another transaction.
You can't send them a bill for all your time.
No. So then you'd say, I support whatever decision you make at that point. So
because we want the best for folks.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So this question here is there a better time of the year to start? What time is the right time there, Monte?
I don't know that there's a good time. In my business, I always say that, people have asked, well, is the market better at certain times of the year? Well, maybe in theory they are, but my attitude is it's always the great time to buy or sell a real estate,
Yeah.
I've sold a home on every holiday there is other than Christmas. I think I've sold home. I know I have multiple times because you just never know. And so as far as what time of year, it just when you have the ingredients like in the bank, you have the mindset, you're gaining a mental toughness, and you've identified your why. What is your why?
Love
because
that.
you're going to have to climb over some obstacles.
Huge obstacles, yeah.
Some big obstacles. If that why is real, it'll carry you through. If it's not, well, I can't tell you how many times in the last couple of years folks have come to me after 6 months of training and devoting effort into there, and then saying, you know what, this is harder than I thought it was going to be.
Right.
And again, they entered into it. Great people entered into it with just an unrealistic expectation of managing that what they thought was going to happen.
Right, absolutely. From a lending standpoint, the winter years are a little slower, so that is a good time to really focus on training and learning and understand that there's not going to be a lot of people running around that maybe you're going to be missing for loan opportunities. So again, anytime's the right time.
That's right.
Just having the ability to just make that first step in the right direction is key for sure. So one thing I heard on my podcast the other day was taking the time and scheduling the time to think. And you referenced that, Think and Grow Rich. Is that the book? Yeah. And that's really what it's about, right? Taking the time to think. So schedule that to really focus on thinking through where you see, your career going.
Right.
Really where you see your training going. Like take the time to think. That's huge for me. I just go and run and I'm just trying to figure it out, but really to stay quiet and just start to schedule the time to think about how I can grow my business and be more successful and help more families, I think is
part
key.
of that visualization part of it. What does it look like? Start with the end in mind, like Stephen Covey used to say. What is it? Where are you going to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now? And to do that, you've got to have buy-in. We haven't talked about that. You've got to have family buy-in. You've got to create those goals that there's going to be some sacrifice.
Right.
Mom and Dad are going to have to be, we're going to have to be staying focused here. So once we get to this milestone, that we're going to do this, whether it's Disney or whatever. Right. I know you're really good with Aubrey on that.
Well, and absolutely. And just know that no one's going to come to you. Like you just can't sit and wait behind any table and think that they're going to call you, or B, come up to you and say, Monte, find me a house, if they don't even know who Monte is, right? And so really be confident enough to share your beliefs and tell people, if you don't want to communicate through voice, use it in a shirt form or use it in a name tag form or something. But, being able to, when you have the confidence about what you're talking about, being able to get that out there to let people know that you are in real estate and in mortgage.
Zig Ziglar used to say, shy salespeople have skinny kids.
Yes.
Yes. And that's kind of what happens. You got to be willing to. Market doesn't care about you being shy.
My little one is still skinny, but she's, I think, heading in her grandfather's footsteps to be over 6 feet tall. She is tall. She's a tall one.
And she is. Too,
she's so cute. Hey, so the next question here is: does it matter what company you join?
Well, I don't think the consumer cares what brand you join. I think from a realtor standpoint, I think it's a good idea to look at reputation. I think it's a good idea to look at mentorship. I think it's a good idea to look at, I think split is important, but I don't think that's important until you've got a couple of years in the business. I think a lot of people go into the business thinking, well, I'm going to go out and get 100% split right off the bat. Look, when you're brand new, split is not part of the equation. It shouldn't be. It should be about how can I build a foundation in this business? How can I hook myself up with somebody else's vision to help give them that, and add connect to their momentum and creating my own. I think that's personally more important.
Such a good day today. Hey, so if you're someone out there that has a strong work ethic, a strong self-confidence, and that never give up attitude, and you want to get into the real estate and the mortgage business, definitely do it. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We're going to see you next week. You've been listening to The Talk of Music City Real Estate.